Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Good morning. On this Monday, January 15th, 2024, the Beaver County weather forecast is calling for mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 21 degrees. We'll go over the full details of your Beaver County weather forecast following this look at news. As the investigation of a woman found dead in Beaver Falls continues, Beaver County Radio spoke with the roommate of the victim. Here's Beaver County Radio's Curtis Walsh with an exclusive update in this developing story.
With little information being provided by authorities, community members do not know if an alleged murderer could be on the loose in Beaver County. A woman who was identified as Rebecca Miller, 41, of Beaver Falls, was found dead Thursday on a walking trail near the campus of Geneva College in Beaver Falls. Sources say Miller suffered multiple stab wounds and is being considered a victim of homicide, but an exact cause of death has not yet been released by authorities. Beaver County Radio spoke to the roommate of Miller, who says they were living at Cornerstone Recovery and Supports in Beaver Falls, which specializes in mental health support and housing services. She says Miller signed out of the facility on Sunday and never returned. Miller mentioned to her that she was going on a walk with a friend, but didn't say much else other than it was a man. Miller worked at Crop and Kettle in New Brighton, where her roommate was a student. She says classes were let out early Thursday and canceled for Friday. With the change in class schedule and Miller still not home, she says she knew something happened. The roommate says police and management of the living facility spoke to the residents, but none of them were informed of exactly what happened. She says she had to read the news online to hear of her former roommate's fate. She says she was shocked and doesn't feel safe to go out at night. Currently, there is no word from police or authorities on the state of the investigation. They have not released any update on whether or not they have made any arrests or identified any suspects in the alleged murder. A press release issued Thursday from Beaver Falls Police Chief David Johnson and District Attorney Nate Bible stated they do not believe there is a danger to residents or the community. Stay tuned to Beaver County Radio News for updates in this ongoing story. From Beaver Falls, this is Curtis Walsh reporting for Beaver County Radio News.
State police have released information in regards to an online harassment investigation in Hanover Township. In a press release, police say 46-year-old Jamie Rice of Hanover was responding to a Facebook Messenger message about giving away a dog, and the suspect replied with agitated language that led Rice to believe that there could be physical conflict. Rice blocked the unnamed suspect with no further contact and reported the incident to state police. Additional details have not been provided. A recent report from the Pennsylvania State Police announced that troopers seized approximately $15.7 million in value for drugs that are prohibited in the Commonwealth over the fourth quarter of 2023. The two largest drugs seized were cocaine and marijuana, which combined for over 50% of the drug value obtained during the quarter. Over $2 million in methamphetamines were also seized over the 3-month period. In all, the Pennsylvania State Police collected and seized over $68 million in illegal drugs during their arrests over the course of 2023. With snow falling at a rate of 2 inches per hour, a group of about 85 people tried to dig out of the Buffalo Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York on Sunday. The Bills' playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers was postponed to Monday because of a lake-effect storm that was expected to drop 1 to 3 feet of snow in the area. The Bills paid snow shovelers $20 an hour, but one person who participated, Logan Eshrick, says the work at Highmark Stadium was nearly impossible. The storm was expected to taper off Sunday night, allowing time to clear roads and prepare the stadium for the game. Today, a virtual Ask Me Anything program will address some of the pressing issues of asylum seekers in Pennsylvania and across the country. Danielle Smith reports.
More than 500 people were granted asylum in Pennsylvania in 2022, according to the Office of Homeland Security. At the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, or HIAS, Pennsylvania, Catherine Miller Wilson says the forum was inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King's commitment to justice and equity for marginalized communities. The program will shed light on the difficulties of the asylum process and also advocate for improved asylum policies.
So we, in carrying on his legacy, are putting together this event to provide critical, truthful information about what's going on and ask for advocacy about improving things to make things more equitable.
The online event is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Miller Wilson says one topic will be the high number of people at the southern U.S. border due to higher levels of global displacement. Recent news reporting indicates the U.S. Border Patrol's ability to effectively handle the influx of migrants is overwhelming its resources.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 21 degrees. Cloudy tonight with a low of 17. A mix of clouds and sun tomorrow with falling temperatures throughout the day and a high of 18 degrees. Mostly sunny Wednesday with a high of 21. And cloudy on Thursday with a high of 27 degrees. That's your latest news for now. I'm Matt Durzik for Beaver County Radio News. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP. And streaming worldwide at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is Teleforum. It is hour number 2. It's up to 14 degrees, so let the pigeons loose with that one. My guest at this hour, nice enough to come in, and I don't remember what day the millage numbers came out, but a whole bunch of people got wound up about it. Jack Manning, County Commissioner, is my guest. What day did the official final number come out?
Well, the official final number...
The 3.6?
3.67, yeah. That was actually passed by resolution our last meeting in December, right after Christmas. So 27th, I think it was.
Is that what it... Well, okay.
That's when it was done. And then, of course, the treasurer immediately... her process is to mail out the tax bills based on that millage.
All right.
And the tax bills sort of showed up right after the first, and that's when I'm sure you guys got some calls. We got a few as well.
I got more than a few, and that's what made me think, okay, somebody will understand this way better than me, and that somebody is Jack Manning. I'm going to start at its basic, most elemental level, because I know I've asked you this, and I know you've answered it, but retention's an issue. What is millage?
Well, the millage is the rate in which we assess versus the real property value to collect the taxes. So each mill represents a portion of what we need to raise the taxes.
Did it shake out the way you thought? I remember Tony Amadeo saying more than once, a third it's going to go up, a third it's going to go down, and a third it's going to be, like porridge, just right.
We've been saying that, and people have been saying that even before my previous term that just ended. That's the way the process usually works with any reassessment. That a third of folks are going to see a decrease in their taxes. Mm-hmm. A third are going to stay about the same, and a third are going to go up to offset the ones that are going down and staying the same. And that's the way it always plays out when you have these reassessments, and that's why, again, the previous administration took it all the way to the state Supreme Court to kind of battle that, because they knew it would have an impact. At the end of the day, if you haven't done a reassessment since the 1980s, court's probably going to say it's outdated and you need to do that. It doesn't reflect the real value of the properties in Beaver County. So we go through a reassessment that we've been communicating this for the last 5 years that it was going to happen, and now, unfortunately, the reality is setting in with the current tax bills. Bottom line is, what has stayed the same is we are not, as a county, collecting any more taxes today than we did the previous 2 years.
The number, total amount stays the same.
That's correct.
For the county.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. What happens next? Because I've heard schools and I've heard municipalities, and what do you tell people? Because I know you're getting asked, in addition to being, why is this number, why did my taxes go up $7 or whatever? I think, aren't you being asked about the next step in terms of taxes?
Well, we are. The difficulty is, and I'm not trying to pass the buck or throw anybody under a bus, especially not in
No,
in
not under the fried transportation studio. We don't throw people under buses.
We don't throw people under buses. But in any case, we have no purview over the municipal taxes, and we especially don't have any purview over the school district
Is
taxes.
that a fancy word to mean y'all ain't got nothing to do with it?
Well, they're independent bodies. They're independent elected officials that oversee those things, and each have their own issue. We know what it takes to run county government, and that's why we've been committed to not raising the county taxes. And we didn't raise the county taxes. That does not mean, as you said just a second ago, that somebody's taxes aren't going to go up, because a third of our 91,000 tax parcels definitely went up with applying that 3.67 millage on there. Mine went up. I have 2 parcels. My house went up 11%. My property went up 64%.
Okay, so did your taxes go up?
Oh yeah,
that's what you're talking.
That's what I'm saying. That was the increase in the amount that I'm paying.
So why didn't you go online and rant and rave about it like everybody else seems to?
Because for 20 years, I've obviously been getting a bargain based on my house and my property values and what they were being taxed at. I was one of those that was in the third that went up, and it's run the gamut of how much they've gone up. But if you're in a neighborhood that's an expensive neighborhood,
that probably didn't exist,
that probably has not paid an equitable amount of taxes compared to the rest of the county and the rest of those neighborhoods, then you saw an increase. And some of them have been pretty astronomical. But I mean, if you own a $500,000 house, I guess you got to expect that your taxes are going to be pretty high in some of those neighborhoods in which there's been very expensive homes built. They saw some pretty significant tax increases. My concern is, Eddie, and always has been, along with Tony and Dan's, all three of us have been concerned about the aging population that we have.
This is why we need to raise taxes, because taxes aren't coming in on the backs of new residents, correct?
Well, it's not just new residents. It's on no growth. I mean, if we aren't growing the economy, if we aren't building more houses, attracting more people in, then that as that shrinks, the size of government doesn't necessarily shrink in an equal amount to the population, right? There are still needs out there. And in some cases, when you have an aging population, you have more needs and more funding necessary to deal with seniors and other folks with health issues and the like, that causes you to have a lot of government services. I mean, just for instance, you mentioned my 911 shirt. I had a discussion just last week with some first responders, and there were over 30,000 calls to the 911 center.
Okay, so 300. So I'm not even going to try to do the math. That's a boatload of calls every day.
That's a lot of calls, but the thing is, a high percentage of those weren't life-threatening events. They were things, and don't disparage the people that call. The people that call are looking for help.
Yes.
Right? It's elderly couple, somebody has fallen out of bed, or somebody,
they need help.
They need help.
Yeah.
Right. And they're calling the center, and we're straining our resources. And again, I'm not faulting the people who are in those situations. I mean, if you're in that situation, your mother or your grandmother or your spouse has fallen or can't get out of a bathtub or has fallen into.
Does Beaver County not have enough support in that way, or is it just fair, or just whittled down to different municipalities not having enough? If we put all of the emergency services as one unit, all of Beaver County, would that help, or would that decrease coverage?
It pretty much is from a 911 standpoint.
Okay.
Right? So the dispatchers get those calls, and they send them out to the lowest municipality, the closest municipality that's close to that address, and puts it out. And there are some fire departments that have quick response groups. They'll come out and help. Typically, though, they rely on the 4 ambulance services that we have. And most of those ambulance services don't necessarily have all of the resources they need to answer all those calls in a timely manner. And I don't mean to get off on a tangent on response time, but it's something we've been dealing with now for a couple of years because of the lack of EMTs and paramedics and folks. More folks are leaving that kind of work that are coming in to backfill them. So we really need to incentivize more people to get into that portion of the health care field and emergency response.
Jack Manning, County Commissioner, is my guest. If you've got questions, you can call. You can post it on the social media. 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. On our Facebook, this is being live streamed. You can put your comments in the live stream or put your questions in the comments section of the live stream. How long have we been in Western PA and Beaver County losing population? Since the 80s?
Oh, mid-70s.
Mid-70s?
Yeah, I think, and again, it predates me. I've been here about 25 years. But I think our population, I know our school-age population peaked by the end of the 70s. It was starting to decline. Related to obviously the steel mills, the airlines, and the departure of a lot of those jobs. I think our school-age population peaked at around 48,000. We're down around 21,000 K-12 students in Beaver County now. So that population has been declining. The good news is it's declining a lot less rapidly than it was from the census.
When did it start to slow down anyway?
About 2015, we lost. The projections in the articles are, we've lost less as a percentage of our population, and actually had a little bit of an uptick from where we bottomed out in 2015.
Do you know why we had the uptick?
Well, the uptake, a lot of it had to do with the cracker plant, quite frankly, with people coming in, renting, and being here when we counted the population. Obviously, they were on our roads, they were eating at our restaurants and shopping at the mall and the like. So we had a little bit of an uptick there. That's kind of topped off now, and we're somewhere around 168,000 people. So from the previous census, we were at about 170,000 people. So in aggregate, we've lost a couple of thousand. And it's no secret to what that is. We're still with that aging population.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people leaving Beaver County are leaving, not to be crude about it, and they're leaving in a coffin or an urn.
No, that's being honest about it. All right.
That's what's happening. We're dying off faster than we're repopulating. And the biggest segment, the biggest age span, I think 17% of our population is between the age of 54 and 65. That's our biggest demographic in that. The other ones are about 12%, but before that and after that.
Is there an easy way to get people to come to Beaver County?
Well, there's no easy way to do it, Eddie.
I love it. If I didn't love it here, I wouldn't still be here.
Well, same here. And I think, my older son moved up here after my wife and I did from Virginia. He married a girl from Beaver Falls. I have a great 16-year-old granddaughter. They live up in Patterson Heights. And my younger son moved from Hawaii after 16 years with his wife from Japan, and I have a 4-year-old grandson. So I'm doing my part. I did try to get
you're
people
recruiting.
to come here. No, well, we understand what a great quality of life. This is home. There's a great sense of community here. We really do love it. I've had opportunities to move and transfer and relocate someplace else, and we don't. We love it here. We love the legacy riverfront towns. We love the green space. We love the farms. It's home. We love the people here. I do what I do because of my affection for the people of Beaver County that embraced me 25 years ago and made me feel at home. We have a lot of issues for sure, but who said beauty's in the eye of the beholder? It goes back to the Greeks, I think, Greek philosophers and whatever. But
somebody all gooned up on wine.
But quality of life is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's different for everybody, but we've found a great quality of life here. There's a great balance of things.
You came here within a year or so of when I did, mid-'90s.
Late 90s.
Late 90s?
Started working here in the late 90s.
Okay.
Actually moved in 2000.
All right.
But I started working up here in 98.
How has it changed in your view? We've been here roughly the same amount of time. How has your perception of Beaver County changed from the time you got here to sit here this morning?
Well, it's changed for the better in this, knowledge and facts and truth have to be put in from perception and context and stuff. As I've gotten to know Beaver County, how it's changed for me has really been most of my doing, which has gotten out to speak to so many people, right? So it's changed in terms of its sense of community, its sense of pride. My understanding of the community has changed, which has made it seem better. It might have always been like this. I just didn't know it until I got out and got involved with so many projects, so many people, so many different parts of the county. Becoming part of the Beaver Lawrence Farm Bureau. I didn't know much about the farming, the history, the legacy, the dairy farms here and everything else, but I've come to embrace that. So it's changed in my knowledge and my understanding of that. The riverfront towns and getting to know and understand all the time I've spent in Beaver Falls and Ambridge and Aliquippa and Beaver itself, getting to know the people, getting to know the history. So for me, it's just my knowledge base that has changed.
Can you hang out next half hour?
Sure.
All right.
Did we go a half hour already?
Yeah, time flies when I sit quietly and listen to logic. Jack Manning, County Commissioner, is my guest. If you've got a question for Jack, you can call or you can post a question in the comment section of the live Facebook feed that's going on. More with Jack Manning after news on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
When you talk about community involvement and safety, the name Fry stands at the forefront in Beaver County. Fry Transportation's mission is to continue to raise the bar as the gold standard in their industry by providing the safest, most reliable, and cost-efficient transportation service in Beaver County through their strong relationships with their community's best-in-their-class drivers, equipment, and technology. There's nothing more important than the safety of their students, employees, and community members. Fry Transportation, where the quality of their organization is characterized by the makeup of the individual behind the wheel.
The Lenten season is just around the corner, and Our Lady of the Valley Parish is inviting you to one of the best Lenten fish fries in the Valley at the St. Cecilia Hall on California Avenue in Rochester. The fish fries get underway on Friday, February the 16th, and will be every Friday throughout the Lenten season from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. They will have fish sandwiches, fried for $11 or baked for $12. Fish dinners are $13 and shrimp dinners are $14. There's also a Chesapeake Bay dinner for $15 that includes fish, shrimp, and crab cakes. Dinners also include coleslaw and a choice of French fries, mac and cheese, or pierogies. There's yummy pie for dessert, but that's a little bit extra. You can eat in, you can take out, or they'll deliver from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Credit cards are also accepted. Call 724-775-3775 or 724-709-7426.
Here is a question that is very easy to answer. Would you rather be sold something or get professional help and advice that ultimately leads to a strategy that best suits your needs? Tom Young at First Consultants Inc. in Beaver has a unique approach that has won over the trust of even the most skeptical clients.
Everybody that's selling is looking for a profit. I focus on creating strategies that are in the client's best interest.
Ask yourself this: what have you got to lose? The answer might be a fortune. Get financial strategies instead of a pitch about a product. Visit firstconsultantsinc.com or be a part of Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is no way affiliated with First Consultants, Inc., nor is First Consultants, Inc. a registered investment advisor.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. for the Sports Corner with Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier. The Sports Corner talks about everything that is currently going on in the sports world. Ralph and Smokin' Jim will also have special guests every week and they'll take your calls. The show will also be streamed live on the Beaver County Radio Facebook page and YouTube channel. So make plans every Tuesday at 4 p.m. to tune in to the Sports Corner, right here on Beaver County Radio.
Pittsburgh Penguins hockey is back on Beaver County Radio.
Crosby out the center. Tried to get around the stick, and McAvoy does. On the backhand, centers in front. Russ flips it on net and scores! That was magical!
Tune in all season long as the revamped Pittsburgh Penguins are on a quest to win their 6th Stanley Cup championship. Penguins hockey on Beaver County Radio is being brought to you by the St. Barnabas Health System, Falcone's Boone Township Ford, Patriot Home Care, Friendly Federal Credit Union, the Keystone Wellness Program, and Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Good morning. On this Monday, January 15th, 2024, the Beaver County weather forecast is calling for mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 21 degrees. We'll go over the full details of your Beaver County weather forecast following this look at news. As the investigation of a woman found dead in Beaver Falls continues, Beaver County Radio spoke with the roommate of the victim. Here's Beaver County Radio's Curtis Walsh with an exclusive update in this developing story.
With little information being provided by authorities, community members do not know if an alleged murderer could be on the loose in Beaver County. A woman who was identified as Rebecca Miller, 41, of Beaver Falls, was found dead Thursday on a walking trail near the campus of Geneva College in Beaver Falls. Sources say Miller suffered multiple stab wounds and is being considered a victim of homicide, but an exact cause of death has not yet been released by authorities. Beaver County Radio spoke to the roommate of Miller, who says they were living at Cornerstone Recovery and Supports in Beaver Falls, which specializes in mental health support and housing services. She says Miller signed out of the facility on Sunday and never returned. Miller mentioned to her that she was going on a walk with a friend, but didn't say much else other than it was a man. Miller worked at Crop and Kettle in New Brighton, where her roommate was a student. She says classes were let out early Thursday and canceled for Friday. With the change in class schedule and Miller still not home, she says she knew something happened. The roommate says police and management of the living facility spoke to the residents, but none of them were informed of exactly what happened. She says she had to read the news online to hear of her former roommate's fate. She says she was shocked and doesn't feel safe to go out at night. Currently, there is no word from police or authorities on the state of the investigation. They have not released any update on whether or not they have made any arrests or identified any suspects in the alleged murder. A press release issued Thursday from Beaver Falls Police Chief David Johnson and District Attorney Nate Bible stated they do not believe there is a danger to residents or the community. Stay tuned to Beaver County Radio News for updates in this ongoing story. From Beaver Falls, this is Curtis Walsh reporting for Beaver County Radio News.
State police have released information in regards to an online harassment investigation in Hanover Township. In a press release, police say 46-year-old Jamie Rice of Hanover was responding to a Facebook Messenger message about giving away a dog, and the suspect replied with agitated language that led Rice to believe that there could be physical conflict. Rice blocked the unnamed suspect with no further contact and reported the incident to state police. Additional details have not been provided. A recent report from the Pennsylvania State Police announced that troopers seized approximately $15.7 million in value for drugs that are prohibited in the Commonwealth over the fourth quarter of 2023. The two largest drugs seized were cocaine and marijuana, which combined for over 50% of the drug value obtained during the quarter. Over $2 million in methamphetamines were also seized over the 3-month period. In all, the Pennsylvania State Police collected and seized over $68 million in illegal drugs during their arrests over the course of 2023. With snow falling at a rate of 2 inches per hour, a group of about 85 people tried to dig out of the Buffalo Bills Stadium in Orchard Park, New York on Sunday. The Bills' playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers was postponed to Monday because of a lake-effect storm that was expected to drop 1 to 3 feet of snow in the area. The Bills paid snow shovelers $20 an hour, but one person who participated, Logan Eschrick, says the work at Highmark Stadium was nearly impossible. The storm was expected to taper off Sunday night, allowing time to clear roads and prepare the stadium for the game. Today, a virtual Ask Me Anything program will address some of the pressing issues of asylum seekers in Pennsylvania and across the country. Danielle Smith reports.
More than 500 people were granted asylum in Pennsylvania in 2022, according to the Office of Homeland Security. At the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, or Hayes, Pennsylvania. Catherine Miller Wilson says the forum was inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King's commitment to justice and equity for marginalized communities. The program will shed light on the difficulties of the asylum process and also advocate for improved asylum policies.
So we, in carrying on his legacy, are putting together this event to provide critical, truthful information about what's going on and ask for advocacy about improving things to make things more equitable.
The online event is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Miller Wilson says one topic will be the high number of people at the southern U.S. border due to higher levels of global displacement. Recent news reporting indicates the U.S. Border Patrol's ability to effectively handle the influx of migrants is overwhelming its resources.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 21 degrees. Cloudy tonight with a low of 17. A mix of clouds and sun tomorrow with falling temperatures throughout the day and a high of 18 degrees. Mostly sunny Wednesday with a high of 21. And cloudy on Thursday with a high of 27 degrees. That's your latest news for now. I'm Matt Durzik for Beaver County Radio News. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP. And streaming worldwide at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
It is, and I want to say thank you. Jack Manning is here. County Commissioner Jack Manning joined me for this hour. If you've got questions for Jack, you can call 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. If you would prefer to post them, this is being live Facebook streamed on our Facebook page, which is WBVP-WNBA, or look it up with Beaver County Radio. We've talked about the millages. I'm going to bring up a dirty word and your perception of how it would be received now versus 10 years ago. Here's the dirty word. Consolidation. Because isn't that what companies in businesses do? If you're losing money, you tighten things up. School consolidation.
Yeah, consolidation has a negative connotation to it.
Yes, it does.
There's only been one voluntary merger, I think, in the history of Pennsylvania Commonwealth's school districts, and that was Monaca and Center. Mm-hmm. And that seemed to work out well because of the people involved and the way they made that happen. One was the enlightenment of Superintendent Thomas. And again, a lot of this I wasn't directly involved with. I was busy doing my corporate job at that time, and was just paying attention on the surface. But Superintendent Thomas and Superintendent Matsuk from Center showed great leadership to bring that together and convince folks that in the long run that was the right way to go. Monaca was on an unsustainable path. It strengthened both school districts. It strengthened the opportunity for all the children in that area to have a more equitable educational career path opportunities. Worked out well. And I hate to say it, but because of the athletics and some other things that emerged from that, and I think it's solidified.
Why do you hate to say what? That it worked out well, or
just
it
because
worked
of the
out
athletics.
because of the athletics?
Just because of the athletics. And it wasn't just because of the athletics. It was bigger than that. But certainly winning some state titles and stuff helped convince people and look aside any differences they had about why that merger wouldn't work. So
I'm going to ask you a question and put you on
kind
the
of a tipping point for, I think, its success. But others didn't follow, and we can get into details of that if you want. But others didn't work because of debt the school districts have and a whole bunch of other factors that are difficult to deal with.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm basically going to make you pick on somebody. Mm-hmm. Ballpark percentages, because these are things that you do deal with in some way, shape, or form as a commissioner every day. On the subject of consolidation, How many parents are concerned about their kids' education slipping versus how many parents are concerned about the football team losing more games?
You know, the ones that are most worried about football games are folks that probably don't even have kids in the school system. They're alumni. They're people that the old high school rivalries and stuff. They're worried about the pride of their alma mater more than they are necessarily
really
about kids. Well, I'm saying the ones that use that as the big reason why they don't want to see their high school go away or their high school merges. They've got all that legacy sports stuff. Most people that I've talked to, and I'm hard pressed to find anyone that doesn't, wants what's best for the kids. They want their children to have an education that prepares them for life, any career path, whatever career path is best for them. It doesn't necessarily mean 4 years of college, 4 years post-secondary, or 8 years, or anything else. They're looking for what's right for their kids to be able to have a good life, have a career, raise a family, and continue to thrive and prosper. That's what every parent looks for. And you know, I will tell you that two of the best things that probably happen, and I am a big public school proponent. I'm a product of the public schools. My kids went to public schools. My granddaughter and grandson are going to public schools. But the advent of something like a Lincoln Park and PA Cyber, it probably came along at the right time to help us retain some of the population that we do have in Beaver County as a result of that. Because if you weren't happy, if you weren't enamored with your school district for whatever it was, you now had the opportunity to homeschool through PA Cyber or send your kid to Lincoln Park if they were interested in all the things that Lincoln Park has to offer. And we're seeing some of that with the Votex and MIT and some of the other stuff, the Midland Innovation Center, although it's a very small percentage of our population that's attending that. But, you know, those career paths are important for most parents.
You just described the career, the educational path of my daughter.
Is that right?
Yeah, she went to school 1 year in high school, and then auditioned and went to Lincoln Park.
Yeah,
and you're 100%.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
You're 100% correct. There are kids that thrive because of those opportunities.
Well,
they weren't thriving before,
right? And that's not. I mean, some of the schools have great theater programs and those kinds of things. But if your kid's really into performance arts, or all of the other ancillary businesses that go behind that with the marketing and the lighting and the sound and all that other kind of stuff that's a support system to it, it's a center of excellence. I mean, I've lost track of the numbers over the last couple of years, but they had kids coming from 81 different school districts, in 7 different counties, busing hours a day to go there because it's a center of excellence. And I admire the work they do. I know the local school districts get upset because it's taking school taxes away from their operating costs and sending them to Lincoln Park or to PA Cyber. But both of them are filling an important niche to retain what we do have for school children in here. Because I hear more, anecdotally, I hear more people leaving because they don't like the high school
that the kid's going to go to.
They live in, and they're moving into Seneca Valley, Mars, Moon Township. We're competing with some very strong school districts that have new campuses and can offer a lot more. And Eddie, it's never been about bigger is better. It's really been about what's best for your child and who has the right programs and the shared curriculum to be able to make that happen.
In my mind, it absolutely counts as a benefit, but can Lincoln Parks and the tech and all of that stuff going on, can that be pushed forward as a benefit to get people to come here? You're talking about people are aging out. We want young people to come here and have families here. That's another pitch.
Yeah, we have to get much better at attracting and retaining young families, and I think education is a huge part of that. In addition to those other quality of life. I mean, that is a big part of quality of life for some people. Is what are the schools, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, educational opportunities are there for people. So that's a huge component. I could tell you somebody that's relocated a couple of times. The first time I moved from New Jersey, my boys were 10 and 12. First thing my wife did was get online and say, where in Chesapeake, Virginia, are we going to send our kids to school? So where are we going to buy a house? Where are we going to move?
Right.
You look at taxes and you look at all the other features and amenities around there, shopping, those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, the primary one, if you have kids that were 10 and 12 like we had, was where are we going to send our kids to school?
I got a question on our Facebook feed. I'm just going to read it cold. Mm-hmm. Mr. Manning, this is from John. Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law and sister acquired his parents' property in Independence Township within the last few years before the assessment process came around. Now she has taken her stuff to the county tax office, which has the house her father-in-law built out of pocket and moved in 1973, but the tax office has it listed as it was built in the 1980s, and the tax office won't change it even though she has the deed that says 1973. Her father-in-law took out a mortgage in the 80s, so that's the info the tax office has at the courthouse, and they're having trouble changing it. Did you understand the question I just asked you?
I think I understand the question. I'm not sure how that impacts the assessed value. It sounds like it's a... Look,
I'm glad you understood the question.
I don't even know enough to be considered dangerous when it comes to real estate law and all those kinds of things. But I don't know how material that is from a taxing standpoint on whether it was 73 or the 80s. At the end of the day, with the reassessment that we went through, that's the current house, the current value in that neighborhood and that area. So I'm not sure what they...
When would a mortgage in the 80s have anything to do with the algorithm or the formula? Wouldn't, would it?
No, as far as I know, it wouldn't have anything to do, but again, I'm not an expert on the algorithm. I don't know. That's a question for our assessment and tax office to truly sort out, and you'd probably have to ask our legal department. But I really don't know what impact that would have
the part that
on the current tax value.
Yeah, I don't understand how taking out a mortgage on the property and taking out a mortgage doesn't change the value of it. That's just a deal with the bank, right?
Well,
you can tell I did nothing with this.
Yeah, I mean to deal with the bank, but it also would be there would be a value on that mortgage that would be on the tax rolls, and that's what they would have been taxing previously. Prior to the other reassessment, I'm assuming that's one of the factors that they were basing the previous tax rate and tax bill on.
Are you glad this is over?
Well, it's never over. We had this conversation with us and the commissioners.
Yeah,
it's an evergreen process. You're never really finished with anything. I'm certainly glad we've done with all the reassessment piece, but we're not done. We still have several hundred court cases that are going forward.
Several
with
hundred.
Appeals. Yeah. Well, these were people that filed appeals based on the process. Based on what was told. The last part, we had Tyler come in and you could talk to Tyler. Then Tyler turned it over to us, and then we had an appeals process where we set up multiple panels of people to listen to your appeal. And then the last resort was you could take it to the courts. There were 3 levels of appeals that we had built into this process. And the last one is take it to a court, and the judge will sit there and say, yes, you have a case or you don't have a case. To lower or raise your taxes. This happens all the time, by the way, for years, especially with corporations and industry and businesses. Big corporation might have been the mall is constantly always saying, well, we have vacancies, or we sold off this portion, or this got changed, or we knocked down this building. It's no longer exists. I mean, so there are tax appeals that come around all the time, and even homeowners and residents can do that. You have us down as having a pool and an outbuilding. Well, we filled in the pool and we knocked down the outbuilding, so you can't That's not real
worth as
property
much.
that can be taxed anymore. So we go and they appeal those, and we'll make adjustments. People still have that opportunity, and this year we anticipate, because of the tax bills now coming out, and when the school and municipal tax bills come out, that a lot more people will file appeals, which everybody has a right to do. Every time you get a tax bill, you do have that right and ability to go through a process. But it has to be based on, again, some real data, some facts, some comparables that say, well, this doesn't seem fair. I'm getting taxed this amount, but over here, if you look at these compensable factors, these taxable factors, they aren't being taken into consideration. Or, my neighbor here and here are paying less. We're the same house, same square footage. How do you explain that if those things do occur?
When the next round of taxes, school taxes next, I think?
I think it's municipal, and school, and then school. Schools usually come, I think, before the start of the next school year.
Yeah, like end of July or August, something like that.
Yeah.
Do you expect people to be calm and rational, or do you expect it to be a goat rodeo?
I've never been to a goat rodeo.
Oh no, it's a mess.
So
you're proud to say, you're proud to tell the stories, but you don't enjoy it at the time.
I don't think it'll be any more chaotic than it's ever been. With that, I mean, I was anticipating a lot more vitriol.
Really,
as we went through the process, and we ended up getting less appeals than we thought we were going to get. The tax bills have come out, and I've gotten some calls and some emails, but not as many as we thought. I think people are being thoughtful, understanding, and going through the process and realizing that we didn't have a whole lot of say in this process. This was mandated by the courts. We complied with the courts. I mean, I've always told them, I'm going to do what the law says, right? I mean, we're not going.
It ain't worth going to jail over.
Well. I don't know the outcome of some of these things, but we're letting people go through the process. I certainly sympathize and empathize with the folks, as I said before, particularly those folks that are on a more fixed income. Although, as one gentleman pointed out to me, we're all on a fixed income.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
If your employer decides you're no longer employed, that fixed income can go away, but you know what I'm talking about. It's those folks that have limited needs, a pension plan that hasn't been keeping up with inflation or Social Security or something, and it makes it difficult for some of those folks, especially with inflation. I don't know if you've had Mike Rubino on here before, Marilyn Harlow from and they talk about the Alice things, right? The one. People that are one paycheck away from disaster, if their car breaks down, their water heater goes, or their furnace goes, or those kinds of things.
Or God forbid, a medical thing.
A medical issue, which is the more prominent thing that happens, will allow those. But what are we in the 35% range of people that are in that category?
That are
35 to 40 that are one
two.
paycheck away. A tax bill like this could be that one element that creates a disaster for a household. I mean, we're all very concerned about that with that aging demographic we have. And with the schools particularly, there are some people that, have to sell your house because you can't pay your taxes to live in the school district that you want to live in. So I'm concerned about it. We'll get as much support as we can. There's a legal process that they go through, but it's out there. It's done. The reassessment's done. Now we just have to keep working it. So when you say it's over, it's never really over, right? Yeah. It's never really over, and there's only so much we can do. And all I know is our commitment is to continue to keep taxes as low as possible, to continue to keep government under control so we're not unnecessarily spending things, but at the same time, we have to invest in the future, because if we're not investing in the future, we're not going to be able to retain and attract people into the county.
To justify the hope for the future.
If you just cut off all spending and your roads and your bridges and the courthouse goes into decline, the parks go into decline, and those kinds of things, then you're going to be known as a distressed community. And who's going to move here?
No one.
People are going to look to move out of here.
No one.
Right? So you have to have that balance of looking to the future, investing in the future, investing for future generations while trying to maintain the best tax base that you can.
Jack Manning, County Commissioner, has been my guest. Last question for you, sir. Thank you for coming in. You can accomplish one thing this year with the commissioners. One thing. What do you want to accomplish?
That's tough because I'm not a single issue.
No, there's a
person.
Whole lot of moving parts.
I hate to be philosophical about it, but I want to work on decreasing the trust deficit. I want people to seek knowledge, seek the truth, and I know the truth is through the eye of the beholder as well. Truth is in the mind of the beholder, right?
Subjective.
I want to be as open and transparent and as accessible as I've ever been, and I've always tried to do that. So if I can accomplish anything, it's being out there to listen, understand, seek to be understood, understand and then be understood, and try and convey as much truth about what's going on and how we're doing things as possible. That's what I'd like to accomplish.
That's deep.
Yeah, I hate to get too philosophical.
Well, we saved the deep thing until the end. I appreciate that. Was a courtesy to me and my stupid. Mr. Manning, thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure, Eddie. Truly, anytime you need me.
Well, I'm going to take a couple of days off. You want to come in?
I got to go back to work tomorrow. Back in the courthouse,
typical politician. I'll help you. I got to go. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
All right.
Jack Manning on Teleforum.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
Sometimes the holidays can last a little too long, but usually it's no big deal if you discover leftover fruitcake in your refrigerator, even if it's after Memorial Day. You just